Welcome to our Nini SR channel.
As I finished my call with Nick, I walked toward my house and saw Hunter from a distance as he walked out angrily of my house. When I went into my house, I saw my miracle sitting on the kitchen island stool with a confused face. When she saw me, she smiled at me and lifted her hands up in a grabby way. I laughed at her and walked toward her. She pulled me to hug her as she placed her hand around my waist and placed her head on my chest as she took a deep breath. "Are you okay?" I asked her, because I could feel that they had fought with each other again. I rubbed her back with my hand to comfort her. "Are you okay?" she asks back. Should I tell her the truth? Or should I tell her a lie? I don't know what to say. Yeah. I told her, more like a question. I don't even know I am okay. I'm holding the girl who was ready to kill my brother to take revenge for her sister's death 5 years ago. Just because he was the one who met Hensley before that fire accident. Should I be afraid of her? Should I ask her why she did that? What if it's true? Loxley, I called out her name. She hummed in my chest as a response. "Can I ask you something?" She looks up to see me for a few seconds and she nods her head. I took her hand and took her to sit on the couch as we looked at each other. I rub her wrists as fighting myself to ask her the question. "Is that true, you tried to kill my brother?" I asked her as I looked at her. She looks at me with an emotional face for a few seconds and bit her bottom lip and avoids my eye contact as she thinks about what to say. Then she looks at my eyes and says yes slowly. "So, it's true." "Why?" I ask because I want her to tell me a truth. "I lost it." Nev. The moment I heard about my sister, I lost it. I don't know what I did at that time. I lost my sister. I lost my everything in one night. She says as she held back her tears and tried so hard not to break her sob. When I got to know your brother was the last person she met, I started to remember how my sister cried all night when they broke up and when she told me how much she loved Nick. That's why I think he might be the reason for that fire. So, I took him, but I never did anything to him. We just locked him in a room to make him tell the truth to himself. Since we have no evidence, we let him out," she said, looking at me. "I felt guilty about making him suffer, that is why I came to meet him 2 years ago. Because of my face surgery, he didn't identify me. When I met Jess, she resembled my sister more. That is why I stayed there and worked with her. I still feel guilty. I promise what I did is so wrong," she said as she let her tears out. I slowly let every word she said to me. I don't know what to say. I pulled her to hug her as she sobbed on my shoulder. I let my hand rub her back to comfort her. We stayed like this as I comforted her. My miracle snuggled on my side as we watched Inside Out. After she told me everything, she went back to her house to take a shower. When she came back, we went back to normal as every day. We talked about many things. She told me more about my brother before his marriage, which was something I didn't even know. Like how he and Hensley are crazy about each other and how he always throws parties out of nowhere and how he and my miracle always fought for Hensley. She told me she had even come to Nick's wedding. I started to wonder if I should go to their wedding. I might have my miracle before, and we might even marry now. "I have one more thing to ask you," my miracle says lowly and pauses the movie and turns toward me. I turned and sat and faced her. "I don't know if you might remember or not. When you're 10, you come to our house for Hensley's birthday." My brows frowned as I tried to remember, but I have no memories of going to her house. My miracle placed her finger on my brows as she massaged it. I can understand you didn't remember it. But when you came to our house, you were standing in the corner for an hour and I invited you to play with me because you're the one who was around my age. But you rejected me and went to the garden. She said and laughed at me. I might have done that because I never wanted to go to parties, but I remember my mother always took me to small gatherings. If I could go back to time, I would really go back to that time and go to play with her and be friends with her. I don't know if you remember or not that my mother slapped you, she asks, and sounds concerned. Why? I asked her. Because I don't remember a single thing she said. I don't know how you found it, but you told about my mother's affair with my stepfather in front of everyone. What? I'm the dumbest kid in this world. Who would say things like that in front of everyone? Oh my God. I'm really sorry. I don't know. I might have been dumb when I was a kid, I said to her. She laughed loudly as she looked at my face. I might have looked so confused. It's okay, don't worry. It's happened, and we can't change anything. She laughed and leaned in and sat on my lap and pecked on my lips. I held her by her waist and smiled at her. But what I want to know is, how do you know about my affair? She asks and kisses my cheeks. I froze at her question. I don't know how I know. But I can be sure I might have heard it in her mother's thoughts. But how can I tell that to my miracle? What if she thinks I'm crazy? What if she left me? Nevin? How do you know? She asks as she kisses my neck. I don't know, I said as I held her tightly. She stops kissing me and looks at me and asks, or did you hear my mother thought? Like Nick said, you can hear people's thoughts. She tilted her head as lean in and stop in inches between our lips. I might overhear from someone. I lied. I don't want my miracle to leave me if I told her the truth. She pulled away and looked at me confused and asked me, are you sure? I nod my head and scold myself for lying to my miracle. She looked at me for a second and a smirk spread on her lips. She leans in and starts to kiss me hard.